All in audio experience.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's the All In Audio Experience. My name is Jordan.
Trent is here, and we got another good episode for y'all today. We about to get into the college tips that you might need, also grad school tips, and a little bit about our experience going into those lanes. And then we gonna tie in some movies that maybe y'all was like, all right, I'm going to high school, man. This shit about to be like this. Nah, it probably wasn't. But
Yeah,
we about to tie that in too, man.
for sure, for sure. So, I guess going into our backgrounds a little bit, I went to Jacksonville State University, got my degree in economics, and then I went over to Alabama, Roll Tide Roll, got my
Yeah.
Master's of Science in Marketing. Um,
And
it was
then
a great
what?
experience. Yes, sir. Sure. Where you get your degrees from?
Morehouse College, physics, math minor, and then I went to the University of Dayton, getting an electro optics degree, master's of engineering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, what is it? You went from a man of Morehouse to a Morehouse man?
Man of Morehouse to a Morehouse man, that's how the thing goes. That is the tradition. Um, And, honestly, I wasn't a physics major to begin with. I went into this engineering program and I didn't like how long it would take me. So I was like, I'm going to switch it up. And that's why I chose physics. And it was a great decision ultimately.
All right, so I gotta ask, you got a minor in math. What made you add that? Because I'm like, bro, you had enough math already.
So, as an engineering major, physics major, a lot of the STEM majors, like you got to take a whole lot of math courses. So you're going to take all the way up to Cal 3. You're going to take differential equations, linear algebra, all these other math courses that a math major would take. And then you'll need a class or two to get your minor. So it just made sense. And that's why I did it. So you, on the other hand, how did the accounting minor, come into play?
So it's kind of similar. I started out as an accounting major and I switched over to economics, but like I had them credits and I wasn't gonna waste them. So I feel like that's the lesson because every school is different, but you got to be flexible, especially when you go in that early part. You don't really know for sure what you want to do. I think
Hmm.
we all was there with like I have a rough idea of what I'm interested in, but I don't know specifically what I want to get into. And like engineering, there's chemical engineering, there's mechanical engineering, there's electrical engineering, there's computer engineering, and they roughly all have math in them, but they're all like worlds apart in what you actually do when you graduate. Am I wrong or right?
That's correct, and it's a lot of different principles that might apply, that are different, with the basis of things. Yeah, they all might have, some of the common things that you hear about in physics, like Newton's law, dealing with, certain laws of gravity and things like that. But ultimately, you got to learn a whole new skill to go into these different disciplines of engineering. So,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like that in business too. So I think the most math heavy of the business degrees are probably accounting, finance, and economics. And then economics is more stats heavy than math heavy. And then marketing is probably the most creative out of all of them. Um, and so they all really, really require totally different, like, kind of mental processes. The type of person who's into accounting typically wouldn't be into marketing. I don't want to say like that because people could be into whatever they are, but you're definitely going to be using two different sides of your brain for a lot of different things. If you go into one or the other field.
Got you. I had this question, I guess so. When it comes to stats, like I never took a stats class. What does that look like? I know that's a lot, oftentimes it's in the math, like regime or in that area, but a lot of us don't take stats. So why is it
Mm.
different?
So, how can I explain this? I would say like stats is like subjective math, if that makes sense. Like a lot of times you're assigning variables just based on kind of like honestly how you feel about it, what you value over what you don't value. So we do this thing called a regression analysis, and it's basically trying to figure out what the weight of this variable has on the overall outcome. So you take out variables and put variables in and see how the outcome changes.
Mm,
Um, but at the end of the day, like you kind of assign yourself like how much each of those variables weighs into the equation. So it's very like there's a lot of like calculations and things that go into it, but it's subjective to me because like you can like when people say numbers don't lie, they do lie. Like you can tell a story with the numbers if that makes sense. Like I can tell you a stat that makes said person sound like if we're talking sports. I could tell you that um Frank Gore is the third leading all-time rusher in NFL history. I don't know if he is, but I know he's like up there top five.
mm,
I can tell you a bunch of stats that make Frank Gore seem like a top five, top 10 running back all time. But if we actually talk to somebody who knows football, you'll know that while Frank Gore was legit, like he's five, Frank Gore probably isn't even top 20 if we really went down the list. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, for sure.
So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like stats is like subjective math. It's good. It's definitely useful. It's like a tool that is definitely useful. But I feel like math is far more. There's laws like there like whether it's laws of motion, laws of thermodynamics or whatever. I feel like they're more set in stone. Like no, like if we do this equation nine times 99 times out of 100 is gonna go this way or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. I agree with that. Um, the only thing, like, let's say you're doing, there might be certain situations where you can change an end result, but the equation will be the same. You know, you change a certain parameter, like, maybe this will change the temperature of something, or you change the pressure in the room. You can change, how some things are affected. But ultimately, the equations are the same, and you going by that every time. So, yeah.
hmm And so I'll say that too is like I know y'all use calculus a lot for like the dimensions. Like say you're trying to get the dimensions for like a plane or something. Typically you use like calculus, right? To
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you use calculus to do like dimensions. Stats aren't really used for that. They're typically used like for forecasting. Like we're trying to make guesstimations or we're trying to anticipate what could happen, what is the most likely outcome. You're trying to get like they have this thing called confidence intervals, and basically you're just trying to gauge how much confidence you have in a certain outcome, and that's what stats are like typically for. You're either trying to like guess future performance based on past performance.
Okay. Got you. Got you. All right. That was a good little spill into the stats.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's go into first your college experience and going in with the mindset of, doing accounting. Why, was that just like, all right, I want to do something in the business field, or was it just like, I'm gonna try this out? What was the thought process?
Um, I knew I wanted to get into business, and basically I had finance, economics, marketing, and accounting sitting in front of me, and honestly, I remember the day I chose it. A lot of the people in that first class I was in who was answering questions, this, that, and the other were accounting people. And me being competitive, I was just like, shit, I'll do accounting.
Mm,
So it really was that. I knew I was gonna get into business, but I didn't know in what format. I knew later on that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but that came later on. And I eventually switched to economics, so that's how that went. But I think the biggest thing with the accounting is there's a certain like mindset. Somebody who's organized, somebody who enjoys doing paperwork. Because the thing with accounting is like they basically work out of the tax code every year. It's this book that's like this thick, and it changes every single year, and it's literally minute changes. So let's say the tax code has 1,500 codes, 1,500 income tax codes that can be applied to any situation, but are not applied across the board. So if you're an accountant, you might have 50 clients, and all 50 clients are going to have their own specific situation. It's ridiculous, but that's just how it is. So this client might use tax codes 1 through 60. The next client might use 40 out of 60. The next client might use. So it's just a case by case thing, and it changes every year. So they change these little things in the tax code, and you basically are just accounting for everything in their personal finances, their personal business, whatever you're accounting for. You're just accounting for all the money they made. You're accounting for all the money they can save if they file the money this way, if they put it into this IRA, if they were to defer money into a later year, if they were to do this, if they were to do this. You're trying to save them as much money and not have them pay as many taxes as possible. You're trying to make sure it's all accurate and as compliant with the IRS. And if you are into that, I didn't. That wasn't my thing. So I was like, yeah, this is dope. I learned so much that I needed to know from it. I learned the inside of the company from learning accounting. And so that's what accounting really is. If we looked at business, if we frame business like this, if you take the micro level of business, which is like businesses and like individual people, because every person in a way is their own business. Um, and say, so this person, call him Fred, he is a business. His personal finances is a business. He's single, so we're not going to add the wife into it, but him and his personal finances is a business. He also owns a small business. That's another separate entity. So it's owned by Fred, but it isn't a business. So both these things need their own accounting. And
Mm,
so accounting accounts for the inside of Fred's personal business, and then also his personal like financial structure. That means how he accounts for like how much he spent on food, how much he lost on the stock market, how much whatever in his personal business. It accounts for his employees. It accounts for how much cash flow he's got, yada yada. The interior of the business. If it was like a doctor, accounting accounts for the inside of the body.
mm,
Economics accounts for the outside. It accounts for the decisions made that affect Fred's business in regard to like the market. And so you can look at that from a micro and a macro level. And without getting too deep into it, the macro level would be the world or the nation's economy, and even more macro, the world economy. So that would be like the GDP, how much how much money did America gross as far as like products and stuff like that, yada yada. But on the micro level, how is Fred's business? Say he's in the computer semiconductor business. How what market share does Fred's business have in semiconductors? So economics kind of accounts for the, the exterior of the business, the kind of its place in the market, how the decisions Fred's making are affecting it in the marketplace, the social marketplace of business, if that makes sense. Marketing is another exterior form of business. How is Fred's branding presented? How do people view Fred's business? It's not about the truth about Fred's business, it's about the perception of Fred's business. So it's like another exterior business force, and it's almost the opposite of economics. To me, marketing is like the if accounting is the what's on the inside and economics is what's on the outside, the marketing is what people see. It's
mm,
how people view the business. And the crazy thing about it is, wrong or right, it's like a major with it being like flimsy or whatever, or like so like intangible. It's one of those things of like it can be completely wrong but make you so much money in a weird way, or be the reason you're not making more,
mm,
if it makes sense. It's almost like it's like a celebrity. It's almost like an artist. An artist that is on top of the world. They got a number one hit album. The branding and marketing is amazing. They're making a bunch of money on shows, a bunch of money here. They're in the press, this, that, and the other, and they're generating a bunch of money. So their marketing is elite. Their accounting is terrible. Their economics are terrible in a sense of like they're not getting all their. They have bad deals. They're not in. They're not getting as much money for. They're not getting as much money as they should off of how much money they're bringing in. And when they get the money, they're spending it in the wrong ways. So it's like you need all of them to work, but it's crazy how much the marketing side of it can. I don't know. It's just a weird. It's
Really, I feel like, marketing can really alter a whole perspective. Like, we like you can really make something that is shit
yeah.
gold with marketing. Like you
Uh,
can really fluff anything up with the proper marketing. But when you look under the hood, those other things might not be together. So
might not be
I
together.
get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like even the product itself might not even be that great, but they present it in such a way. You remember them little balance bands they had when we was in high school? The ones the baseball players used to wear with the little circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
They sold I don't know how many of those, telling us that like it helped with athleticism and balance or whatever.
Cat.
It wasn't nothing, but they made money off of it, and they didn't make money in the long term because obviously nobody uses them anymore. But still, they made a good check off it. So that's just one of the crazy things about marketing. And then finance is really just the business of money. Um, People sell money. Banks sell money. Banks create majority of the wealth in the United States off of loans, off interest, off of revenue from interest. So that is
Hmm.
another kind of exterior factor. And you need a good finance. You need to be good at financing if you want to make stuff happen. You should have way more purchasing power. EYL was talking about this the other day. You should have way more purchasing power than money in the bank um, at all times. So if you're worth $1 million, you should be able to purchase things. I'll say in the tens to $20 million range. That's just normal.
That's facts. That is
So
facts.
I guess from the same perspective, how do you view engineering and how did you? I know you say you chose physics because it was going to take longer to get the engineering degree. But do you still have? Because I mean, you still got into engineering though eventually with your graduate program.
Yeah, so physics is like that, the basic principles of how everything works. It's just like if you drop something, it's gonna drop at um 9.8 meters per second. Like that is a common law. It doesn't matter what you drop, if it doesn't have other exterior factors, that's a basic principle that's gonna happen. The speed of light being a certain like 3.3 to the 8 meters per second. Like these are common things that are like common principles and factors. Like an object um, that is in motion is going to stay in motion. If you have a ball going down the hill, it's going to continue to roll unless something gets in the way of it, and there's just basic principles that you have to know in physics that'll translate into engineering. So ultimately, the decision was, all right, engineering was going to take me 5 years,
Hmm.
5 to 6 years to get two bachelor's degrees. And you can go another route where you go to a 4 year college and you get your bachelor's, and then you go into a grad program. And majority of the time, I mean, probably 99% of the time, if you're a STEM major, they're going to pay for your grad school, whether it's a master's or a PhD. So it just made sense to do that. And after I sat down with my advisor and he kind of broke that down, it was like, all right, it makes sense. And I'm already taking these physics courses at Morehouse anyway. So it was ultimately like, all right, this will be my my background, my basic understandings that I'll be using when I go into engineering. So engineering has so many parts. So physics, you learn about electricity and magnetism. That is basically how electricity functions, how it flows, how circuits are created. That is translated into electrical engineering. You have basic like mechanics. So that's the laws of motion. Um, well, yeah, Newton's laws and gravity and all these different things of how things operate and they function mechanically. That is mechanical engineering, the basics. Then you have optics. That's how basically how you can even see light. The different wavelengths, visible light, UV light, infrared. You understand the different regimes of light, and then that translate into optical engineering. So all of this stuff in physics is basically branches of engineering, pretty much. So that's how it works, and that's why it makes so much sense for me to go into the physics and then go into engineering for grad school, because ultimately I knew that's what I wanted to do, even growing up. And to be an engineer, all it really takes is it's like I've said before, like chemistry is like art, it's like cooking. Um, Engineering and all this stuff is basically just experimenting, really like having the basic concepts of stuff. Like if you know about a material, if I have silicon here and it's transparent after it gets to 1.1 microns, you know that you can use this material for a certain optical situation. So you just have to know these basic things about certain materials. You can apply them, do experiments, and optimize whatever material you're using for a certain situation. So that's what I feel, um, about the engineering and just basic concepts.
So you basically got like the not exoskeleton, but you got like the skeleton with your physics, and it was like I can go in any direction later on, basically with what I got right now. As
Exactly.
opposed to
Exactly.
getting degrees, two bachelor's degrees, I guess, in like specific fields and being kind of
Exactly. It's
pigeonholed.
like this is what I would compare it to. Like physics is like really like the cells. Like you got the cells of the body. Then you got the nervous system is like electrical engineering. And then you got the structure might be mechanical. And then maybe your auditory and visual sensory organs are for optics. And you can go on in that concept with using the body pretty much.
Okay, for sure. So I know you was into like 3D printing for a while. Do you get to still like kind of tap into any of that stuff, or are you still interested in it?
So we actually do have like 3D printers. Um, and I do use it a little bit, but not often. So I might use it for, let's say we have like these certain like wafers that we want to measure the transmission for, and we want to make a certain apparatus to fit it properly onto our system so that it's fixed every time and we have no like changes in our measurements. Like that's how like experiments are like you want to be able to repeat it. It's all about repeatability. If you can't repeat your measurement over and over again, you can't make the claim that this is such. So I might use 3D printing to, like I said, make an apparatus, put it into a fixture that is going to give me the same result every time. And so that's kind of what I use it for now. And hopefully I can use it for other things, but Lockheed has so many capabilities, like where you can, their 3D printing, a lot of the basic stuff is made out of like soft materials, but now there's ways to 3D print using metals and stuff like that. So it's
Mm.
like changing the game. You can make a whole like the nose of a plane with a 3D printer at this
So,
point.
okay.
So yeah.
I've seen like so I've seen the soft stuff for sure. There's this girl on SpongeBob related stuff. Like she'll just make just random stuff. But like I have seen like now where they'll 3D print a building.
So so is she like so with soft stuff she's creating like a miniature building, is that what you're saying?
No, no. So she's not creating the building. She's creating like props. Like, what's the episode where the manta ray villain dude? Um,
Oh, with the belt?
yeah. Oh, not the bell. It's the one where he's talking to Patrick. It's the villain guy, and he's like, "You dropped your wallet," and Patrick's like, "It's not my wallet, but it's literally his wallet." You know that? You remember that?
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's that dude with the blue hat. And so she made like his hat or whatever. So
Okay, got
she just be making stuff. But the other video I saw was where they were like 3D printing a whole building. So they had like the big arm, and it was like basically just coming through and 3D printing a bunch of like bricks and then
you.
layering them on top of each other.
Damn. Yeah, yeah, I mean that stuff is here. Like it's all about being able to make the operate the machine using certain materials. So, at first, we could only use, basic stuffs like maybe silicon. She might be using silicon or something like that. And now, like you said, um, they're making bricks and like you have people developing stuff using metals. Like it can change the game really. So
If it'd be 3D printing BBLs.
yeah, they need to figure something out with that. But
I would cry for it. That's not what you were supposed to say. All right, so I guess get to like the real aspect of it. Freshman year, man. Trent just getting on campus. What's it like for a freshman stepping onto Morehouse, HBCU, an HBCU that has not only a culture but almost like a. I feel like you walk on Morehouse and there's the idea of it that it's like you're walking into like a rite of passage almost. You know what I'm saying? Especially with you
yeah,
and your dad going, so you're kind of like a legacy.
yeah, yeah. I am, a legacy, and I mean, walking on to it's like a whole experience of like first you come the week before, and they have stuff specifically for like, all the freshmen to like interact, whether it's like on campus party at Spelman. You have like there's the parent pardoning, well, the parent parting ceremony where like you have this whole ceremony and then they fake like well you first of all you dress up, everybody is dressed up in the same attire pretty much, and you basically they act like you're like parting from your parents, like that you're releasing them to become a Morehouse man, and like you go back up and they close the gate, and it's just like some parents, if they haven't been through it, they get to like real emotional thinking that it's a wrap, like it's crazy. But you have a whole lot of ceremonies. You ultimately they bridge Morehouse and Spelman together. You have a ceremony where you are given like a Spelman sister, so somebody that's supposed to be going through this process with you. Like that's supposed to be your sister. Of course, some people blur the lines, and that ends up being more than a sister. But
Oh,
you got that. Um, it's just it's a crazy feeling, and like ultimately, like my first and only choice was Tuskegee. I wanted to do engineering. That's the part that they known for. I applied to that school. That was it. And my dad, he mentioned it, he put it in my ear. Tyree was already there. And I was like, I went to homecoming, had a ball, And I was like, man, I gotta go. So I went, and that experience is just mind blowing to just see how many black people have not only money but access to like people and power and like just the intellect of just people from all over the globe, man. It's like when you come from Alabama, there's not a lot of us striving necessarily in public schools to be scholars and just be the best at whatever we are trying to be. So that's another thing. And then Morehouse also gives you that party life or a life to not only be a student, but there's a lot of people that are like DJs. They DJ parties or you're promoting parties or whatever the case may be. So you have a creative space where you can there's this guy that did photography and was like in charge of like all of the AUC like images and photographs of like our different events. So like you have that ability to just tap into a whole culture and it's a whole world. I feel like it's like a walkable city, when you are in the AUC at Morehouse, Clark, and you got Spelman right there. It's just it's hard to explain.
For sure, for sure. I like that. I like that. So, yeah, I definitely felt that when I came down there. I came down there for your graduation, and I was like, we went to some mansion party, bro. I was like, hey, these folks
Yeah,
got
yeah,
bread. They got some money on. Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah. That
that
was
is
the
that is
vibe.
it is. It's just like I'm not from Alabama. Like I didn't travel, but I still ain't never seen that many of like people that look like me. That was just so different. Cause like yeah, it's the money aspect, but just of like so many different types of black people. Like your African Americans, your Nigerians, your Dominicans, like all across the spectrum of black people. Some wealthy, some not as wealthy, some middle class, some upper middle class, some you know what I'm saying. Some parents are celebrities, and that's just normal.
Exactly, exactly.
Such dad might have
And
been a producer or something, you know.
exactly. And it's like there's always this push, and like I didn't understand at first of like no diversity in at HBCU. But the thing is, diversity isn't what people make it, and what they make it is black and white. Is just having Asian, black, white people on a campus. No, you got diversity within your own people. One, like you traveled all over the world through the military. I grew up, born and raised in Alabama. Like we have two completely different upbringings and concepts of life and experiences. And then you got people from all over the globe coming to this school. Not only that, you shrink down the diversity by having just a male school, but then you put Spelman here and you put Clark here and you allow for all these schools to be in one area. So you have these schools separated, but you can take classes and be in the room with these different students and at these different schools. On top of that, we come from Alabama where like sexuality, like you need to be straight, being a straight male. And then you go to Morehouse, you're one in Atlanta, you're
And let me tell you, but
so like you're going to be exposed to, different sexualities. Like that was a little foreign to me. I was like, and that's what people are always like saying, like, there's so many, gay dudes or this and that. But it's like you go into an all male school, there's going to be more gay dudes than you would normally see in life because you're at an all male school. So like that brings you into like not being so there's a lot of people that are like hyper masculine they feel like they gotta show that they are masculine. Like, no, there's multiple ways to be a man, and you don't have to always be this this way that you grow up looking at it. And it also makes you more comfortable and more understanding of those different, mindsets. So it's a huge there's this huge misconception of diversity in HBCUs, and it's got to stop because it's very diverse.
Yeah, it's diverse for sure. And one thing now that I'm older that I like, and it's not completely true, because obviously y'all interact with the women and they interact with y'all. One thing I like about all boys and all males, all women's schools now is kind of it separates y'all at least enough for y'all to not be overly focused on like relationships and stuff like that. Because one thing I'm definitely gonna preach to my daughters and my sons is like when you're young, bro, the less you can focus on romantic relationships. And I'm not saying like you need some of it because you need to learn and go through like liking having crushes and stuff like that. But when you're that young, you really need to have majority of your time focused on like yourself, what you want to do in life, your hobbies, things that you like to do. Like you don't y'all don't go to college to be in a relationship. Don't go to college overly focused on that aspect of it because that is going to be there. It's going to be a very big part of it. So like at my school, I went to PWI and we got freshman visitation back my freshman year. And we had to
So they
make it.
didn't have it.
They did not have it. They did not have no, we got 24-hour visitation back my year. So they had visitation between like certain times during the day, but my freshman year they got 24-hour visitation back. We lost
Mm,
the very next year. It was back for 1 year.
hey,
So
well,
so
the funny thing is, like the first 2 weeks or a certain amount of time, like we didn't have visitation at all. Like you could not go into any dorm on Morehouse or Spelman. That shit was like that's
so
just
that's
how it
how
was.
it should be. Like from being even not like I'm a more of an adult now. I'm not even like a 40-year-old adult with even more like views on it. I now agree that a 19, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old being out the house for the first time in their life does not need visitation 24 hours. They don't need it. Honestly,
It
at
makes
all.
no sense.
They don't need it. They don't need visitation. That nigga do not need to be in your room. She do not need to be in your room. So we had a time. We had a time with that 24-hour visitation for sure.
We can tell they took it.
Hey, a lot of my niggas didn't make it out without no kid, but you know what I'm saying?
That's
But
another thing.
yeah, and so that's another thing. It's like, man, the last thing you want to do is like halt your like college experience because I want to tell you, undergrad. I think we can both testify to this. Undergrad's a lot more fun than grad school. Undergrad is going to be a very fun time period in your life, and it should be. Like, it's not. It shouldn't all be work. It shouldn't all be that. Like, enjoy that experience because there's not really any time in your life like college, in a sense of like you're at an institution with a bunch of people your age who are young with a lot of time on their hands as far as like y'all are just on campus together. There's activities for y'all to do. You don't have a lot of responsibilities because typically most people are getting money either from their parents or the school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Your bills are paid and you're on campus with a bunch of like smart, for the most part, smart individuals, young, beautiful, all that. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Don't enjoy it too
Mhm.
much though. Do not
That's
enjoy it too
facts.
much. Cause it can be halted so quick. We know every year as you get closer to your senior year, it's like it just whittles down more and more on who surviving.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, did y'all have, so yeah, you had strictly like freshman dorms, correct?
Yeah, so we strictly had like freshman dorms.
Okay, and they were co-ed or,
No, so no, freshman dorms aren't co-ed. So like before So I probably just forgetting, but we probably did have like a little period in the beginning where you couldn't really have visitation like that. But typically it was like y'all's. I think on a normal like JSU year was uh, no co-ed dorms. There might have been one freshman co-ed dorm for like overflow, but no co-ed dorms. Visitations like this time during the day, but you got to leave before it gets like dark or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
y'all had it.
Yeah, I think ours was like, I think it was till midnight. It was like we had maybe till 6 to midnight during the week. I feel like that was like every day, like even the weekend. And then
Okay.
as you got to, you got older, you got into, upperclassmen dorms and the suites and stuff like that. A little bit of the rules changed and you could finesse more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah, I feel like that was one thing you start to notice once you get to that third and fourth year on like I feel like that mentality of like, all right, I need to lock in because you can start seeing now the people who weren't focused or had a goal or a plan or was just here to like for the vibes, they falling off. You know what I'm saying? Because if you on year three with like 30 credits and 90 to go, you like yo, that's a lot of money to spend to basically have your whole degree to get still. So
facts. That's facts. So I'm gonna say like that freshman year, sophomore year, like honestly, yeah, you want to have fun, but you need to lock in because that is the easiest it's gonna get for
for sure,
you. One,
yeah.
like I I messed around freshman year and failed English 101. Like, how do you fail English 101?
Oh, Trent.
You don't do the simple things. So like when your teacher tells you like she's going to review your paper, get the paper reviewed, Trent. Uh, how about turn in the paper, Trent? This
Oh,
isn't high school where you can just type up a paper randomly and turn it in and think that's gonna be all cake and flowers.
oh, you think I'll get marked?
So marked up and like you got to learn how to do that, go to office hours and use those resources, and if your teacher is open enough to review and make sure that you make all the corrections, you go and do that. It's very simple. Like high school is like turn in stuff. College is go to office hours and make sure that you have a good relationship with your professor to the point where you can one either finesse or like they know that you're trying. Like that's number one. Like and make
Yeah.
sure they know you trying, bro.
Email.
If they don't know your name, which is different, I know it might be a little different for your experience because your classes were larger, but in my situation, there's no reason your professor shouldn't know your name if you're doing what you need to be doing.
So my school is a mid major, so like we had some like large classrooms, but most of our classrooms were probably similar. Where you definitely could get to know your professors, and once you get to your upper level classes, you gonna have the same professors over and over again typically. I
Facts.
would say going back to what you said, bro, reach out to your teachers. Like I know I didn't that didn't click for me until second half of like when I am messing up and I need help or some extra time. The worst they can say is no, bruh. Because most of the time you'll find out that people aren't even asking; they'll just take the L on it, and that is not it, bro. Do not take the L until they give you the L, bro. Like, yo, yo,
Facts.
yo, yo. Even if I even lied a couple times, like my car was doing whatever, my car was fine, but
Knowing you commuting on 2 feet.
facts. So there's that, and then there's also this thing. So what saved me was I knocked out my early classes, my easy classes in the beginning. So I started out on the dean's list. Praise God, because that middle of my college, I was a little lost and I started messing up. But the thing about it is, it's a mental thing and it's actually a number of things too. If you can start out first knocking out those easy classes and getting A's in those easy classes, what happens is like you're more conscious when you are slipping up to go ahead and keep the grade, like at least get like a B, at least get a, if you're like, I don't want to see it fall too much, because if you start out on a bad note, you're more likely to fall into that, like that uphill climb. And then I think there's a numbers thing of like, it's just harder to bring the grade up than it is for it to like drop down. So like if you
Facts.
start out at like a two, it's probably damn near, it feels damn near possible to get it to like a three. But if you start out
Mhm.
at like a four or a three, it's just it'll be a steady decline if you messing up, but it's a little easier to be like, dang, I got to like a 3.2 or I got to a 2.8. Let me get this thing back up to a three. I think it's just the law of like, it's some like type of averages thing. It's
Mm.
just the way the numbers work out. So
And here's another thing. Just like if you were to save, let's say you had just a basic number, 5,000 in your account versus $50 or 500 in your account, you're going to be more unlikely to touch that 5,000 that you're saving. And you want, because you want that number to keep going up. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You don't want to be pulling and like, damn, like I didn't work so hard to get this number. And then all of a sudden you end up at 1,000. You like, what happened? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So you want to keep that number high. And if you have a 4.0 your freshman year, you like, man, and you get a B or something, and it drops to a 3.8 or something. You like, damn, like that's how easy it can be gone. So
yeah,
that's what I feel like, that whole concept of like you're more inclined if you start off high early, you're gonna be more conscious of those grades and how hard you working.
for sure. And that's really what it is. That's the mental aspect of it, of just you starting off good. You want to stay good. And I did to a certain extent. I got Dean's List my freshman year, didn't get it again.
I think I got it maybe twice, but
Twice.
yeah, it was bad, bro. That first semester was terrible. Second semester, I got right,
You
but
got right.
but
Okay.
but in
No,
between, I
I
was
had,
kind of flowing, you know.
okay. I was not flowing. I was not flowing. I would have like a great semester, then a bad semester, a great semester, then a bad semester.
I
In the
don't,
middle. The first year was cake though, because like I had an AP credit from Sparkman, and then the rest of my classes was like psychology, English. It was basically classes that I already took at high school. So I don't know, it was smooth. Once I got to all them like stats classes, bro, my like econometrics class, my first test, bro, it was a 4-page test, bro. Four
yeah.
problems. Four problems on the test. Each problem was a page, and it was like a little problem at the top, solve, prove, and show how you did it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. I think I got like a 13 on that jump.
I've been there, bro. I mean, I feel like that's like almost every physics test, or like we would have like four questions and you gotta knock it out, bro.
And
You
if you
gotta do what you can to get
if
points.
you don't know it, you really just free balling. Like you really just out there like throwing paint on the wall. Like you really just trying to like convince your professor to give you some sympathy points for real, because you just don't know.
Thanks. I thought I was so nice one time, like that I started using a pen in this class, and then my professor was like, "Don't use a pen ever again." Cause like I didn't do well on a test, and like I'm over here scribbling stuff, and it's like he's like, never
Okay,
do that again. I was
never.
like,
He was
I
going
was
through it.
like, gosh,
He was trying to say.
I swear, but that's the thing. Like those tests like that, when you start to get up
bro.
in your major, like things gonna change, bro. And like when you get over that concept of like early on, when you taking classes like psychology, philosophy, or whatever the case may be, that's not towards your major, and you get past that concept of like, this is a GPA booster. Take it serious and just do what you got to do to get that A. It ain't gonna take that much. Once you get past the concept of like, yeah, this ain't my major, I'm not gonna really worry about it. Take it as
That's
that you gotta just work
not the
hard, bro.
mentality to have, my boy. Because once you get in the 400s
Facts.
and 500s and whatnot, you gonna wish you paid attention.
Exactly. Um, I think I don't know about you, but in high school, studying, was that something that you ever did? I know I didn't. So like right
Uh,
before the test.
yeah, like right before the test, I would just look at it, memorize what I needed, and go to work. The only
Yep.
class I ever struggled with, because math wasn't my big thing. So like, I struggled with, I think it was pre-cal and trig. So like, I needed extra help on that. No, Spanish was that. Spanish was probably the hardest class that I had to study for. I had to study for Spanish because I had Miss
That's
Terry.
different though. That's different.
Miss Terry didn't play though. Like she was like first day in there, she's like, you're gonna learn by me talking to you in Spanish. When you come in here, we speak in Spanish. I was like, Shawty, you tripping. You tripping. But she was dead, she was dead ass. She was not going for it. And so it was a fun class. But yeah, so that those two classes were the only classes I ever studied for. The rest of high school was cake, bro. Like everything that I was more worried about like what we was gonna eat for lunch every day.
Exactly. Worried about lunch and getting to last period for football. So that's something you gotta, that's another tip. Like you gotta learn how to study and how you study. I know for me, like I eventually found like a couple guys that, I gelled with and like we would go study. One of them is the wild boy that's in our group chat in the All In League, Snow, and
Oh yeah,
another one is um my boy Pat. But it's just like you gotta
okay.
find one a community, and you gotta learn how to study without them also. So like my senior year, I knew my back was against the wall, bro. It wasn't like the GPA was terrible, but I knew I had a lot of classes to take.
Facts.
So after my class ended at maybe 3 o'clock or whatever time it was, I'm at the library till dark, damn near every day. Like that was the thing. So if you have that mentality early on, like be disciplined. Like you're not doing shit anyway. Go to the library, sit your ass down, do your homework that you might have for the week or whatever it is, and when it get dark, go out, play some video games, whatever the case may be, have a little fun. But during the week, like lock in and just be disciplined on those times and set a schedule for yourself. I think that changed everything. Having a calendar, studying right after class instead of going back to the room trying to take a nap or whatever the case may be. Just do it now.
Two things you said right there that I want to touch on. One, for sure, like learn how you study because I'm the type where I like to study by myself. If there's a lot of people around and we're being social, it's just hard for me to like lock in and really focus and retain what I'm trying to read if I got a lot going around me. If I'm
Mhm.
if we're doing like the group study thing, I'm typically at group study. Like I do my group study. I had like my like Julia got me through accounting. Shout out to Julia. Bro, she
Shout out
next
to
level.
Julie.
Yeah, shout out to Julia for sure. But we would have like our study groups, and like I would go study with like it would be like some people from my business thing, but it'd be a group of us. Some of them be a nursing or whatever. If I'm going in a group, typically I'm just getting information. Like I'm like, oh, so have you taken the test before? Have you taken this class before? Oh, have you heard like is he checking? Is he gonna check like our cheat sheet? Is like what are we allowed to do? I'm trying to get information on like to plan a strategy for taking the test. I'm not really
Hmm.
trying to retain information or learn the material if I'm like around a bunch of people. That's just how I am. And it's a good thing. If you are able to do that, that's fine. Do that too. But what you want to do is be social enough to where you're getting insider information on like how to pass the class. Because the last thing you want to do is get to like towards the end of the class and realize a group has been meeting in the class and they've been like sharing the answers to everything, or like this class wasn't hard if you just talk to somebody. Because I've been in that situation for income tax accounting where I could have been past the whole class if I was just talking to like the group or talking to one person, and they've been passing all the tests because they were just hip and just talk to each other.
Hmm. That's that's another key, bro. Because there was like that's what ultimately got me into like my clique of like my two guys that I study with, and these weren't like I'm not talking about like big groups because I know what you mean. Big groups
Yeah,
don't get shit done.
they don't get
I
none done.
mean, dudes that are locked in and got the same goal as you. Like, we want this professor to hand us our paper first because that's how he did it. Like, if you had the highest grade, he gonna give you the paper first, and everybody in the class know you got the highest grade. Like, I want to be in the room with those two dudes that's trying to do that. And I found out like there was like a few guys that was really studying and I mean, they was highly intelligent. You know, these dudes went on to go to Georgia Tech and stuff like that. But it ain't about like being highly intelligent. It's about putting in the work. And them dudes was going and they was collaborating. They was sitting down and they was studying together and like maybe he doesn't know what I know, and maybe I don't know what he knows, but we all can bring three heads together to have the complete formula on how we gonna pass this test,
For
and that's
sure.
what you got to do. So networking or just being social enough
Just social
to
enough.
talk.
Talk and get the information, bro. Because there's some classes that I made so much harder just because I was so like in my shell about talking to some of the people in my classes. Because being at a PWI and being in like the degree field I was in, there really wasn't many people who were black in economics. Um, I might just be forgetting them now, but there might have been like one or two maybe. And accounting had a couple. There was a little group of black accountants, but it was just wasn't a lot of people that was like in my area that looked like me. And so it was just I just had to break down that like caring factor of like, well, they not messing with me. It is what it is. But it really wasn't even that deep once I started talking to them. But another thing that you said, you stopped worrying about GPA in your senior year. And I feel like we all going through this. Not worrying about it, but like GPA wasn't the factor anymore towards the end. It was getting your ass out of school with them credits. So I don't know if you was like me, because I feel like we all get to like senior year and be like, nigga, I gotta take like damn 18 hours so I can get up out of here. Because my parents not trying to hear me taking another year of school. So and in your case, it was very true because you got out at the right time, so you was in that Robert Smith class. But
Man, but I tell you, let me just say this, bro. I was the most disciplined I've ever been. I was celibate for months.
yeah, that boy locked
I
it
was,
up.
I was locked in, bro. I was going to Bible study with this group. Um, boy, I was so locked in, and at the end of it all, like God revealed everything. That's the reason why I was locked in, bro. And it was just like, bro,
Won't he
you
do it?
can't make that shit up, man. You
Won't he
can't.
do it, bro? I swear, when we get close to God, things happen, man. And
Mhm.
I say that to say, GPA is very important. But one thing I did was when I was starting to like take harder classes, I was taking less hours. I was just taking what I needed, so I could focus on my hard classes, keep my GPA up. The thing that happened was I got to a certain point where I was like, all right, now I got to kind of ramp it up because now I got to get out of school. Like it was my fifth year. I'm like, I need to be done because shit's gonna get expensive if I stay. So I think that's something we all gotta keep in mind of like, yeah, you want to keep your GPA up, but make sure you're balancing. Don't just be taking 12 hours if you can take 15. Like, and that's where the early classes come in. If you have semesters where you got 3 K classes, all right, take two, you know what I'm saying? Take 15 hours that semester. Take, you know what I'm saying? If you can take 4K classes and then add a hard one or something,
Um,
because you're gonna get to a point where you're like, all right, bro, I got to get up out of here, and you don't want to get to that point and have 3 STEM classes, one class that's like 17 papers. Because I know my senior year, I had a class that was it was nothing but papers, and every paper was like 25 pages. Another class that was all, it was a finance class. It was all equations. It was all math. It was just like we would get a test sheet, and it was all like word problems, all like equations, all just, and it was just a bunch of classes like that. And I was praying on it, and God got me through it. But it was like, all right, bro, I shouldn't have like held off on these classes. And I think the other class was like income tax accounting. I was taking all 3 of them classes at the same time, and I was like, bro, I ain't doing nothing.
you do not want to be pushed in that hole, but I was there too, bro. Like, I mean, I did the 18. I think no. First semester senior year, I did 22,
22.
22 credit hours.
Hell nah.
Like you got to get approval from your chair to do more than 18, bro.
Facts.
That's how serious I was, bro.
They looking at
And
you like,
then,
yo, are you sure? Is
are you
that
sure? Sign this waiver.
and to get to 22, I know
But
one had to be a lab.
yeah, one was definitely a lab, but it was, I mean, that's 6 classes and a lab, bro. That's a lot that's a lot,
That's a lot
bro.
of shit, bro. No, I hated labs because I don't know if y'all's labs was like this. Our labs were like time consuming. So like if we
Yeah.
had a lab class, you would be in there for like a legit 2 hours, bro. And I was
Oh
just,
yeah.
yeah, nah, bro. I was just,
Was
that killed.
y'all's just one? Was it once a week or y'all had it more than once a week?
I feel like it was like once a week, once or twice a week. I know the biology one might have been like twice a week. The atmospheric patterns one, I took this weather class. So I was dumb, bro. I avoided taking chemistry.
He
I'm
wanted to
not
be a
taking chemistry,
meteorologist.
bro. I avoided taking chemistry, and I took like weather patterns and atmospheric patterns or something. Dumbest shit I ever did in my life, bro. I ended up getting a professor who was extremely passionate about whatever the hell that shit was. We had like specialized material. We ended up having to buy um like like school kits, like science kits to take the class. It was it was actually a great class, but I did not avoid the work that I thought I was gonna avoid. Like that nigga, he was not playing about his weather patterns.
Yeah. That boy. It be like that. I mean, you got some professors, and that's where it comes in. Also, like if you, I mean, if you talk to enough people, like you can also get the word on the professor. Like, who are you dealing with? You know what I'm saying? Is this person somebody I can, I can fool around with in this class, or is this somebody I need to like really buckle down on? Or do I need to build a relationship with this person? How does this person operate? So, what?
Yeah. I
It's a
remember
lot.
specifically because so this was actually one of my bigger classes. It was in like the auditorium, so our classroom, and he was one of them people that like just wasn't. He was super positive, but he was like that professor that'll smile like get out my face, like I'm not trying to hear that. Did you do your homework? Like he was he
Yeah.
would be like, oh, I'm sorry, it's still gonna be a zero type of professor.
Sarcastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that was an interesting experience, man. So
What?
you got any more tips? Tips for grad school, choosing grad schools, maybe?
I wouldn't even say I got a tip for that because I really Boy, I was sitting on the sidelines and I was just like looking for a job and it wasn't coming through. And I was like, bro, you always wanted to be an engineer, bro. What's the next step? And the next step is go somewhere.
Hmm.
That's the next step. Go somewhere, get into somebody's program. And that was gonna be either A&M or, another uh God calling, through my friend Brandon. He was like, hey, I'm at the University of Dayton. These professors, they spoke with you, senior year. Like they need a student. They looking for a student. And I was like, I ain't doing nothing. Sign me up. Like that's really what it was. And it was, of course, it was in an engineering discipline, the electro optics. So it was like, maybe I don't necessarily know much about this, and maybe this isn't the lane that I want to go, but this is gonna open up the door to get into other doors. And
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, bro. It ain't about, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to get you moving in that direction. And I remember a guy that spoke one time at one of our senior seminars or something like that. It was like, maybe you not, the fastest, I think my dad or somebody always like, the fastest way to somewhere is a straight line. But this guy was like, yeah, the fastest way to a place is a straight line, but sometimes you're gonna take some dips and some curves, but just make sure you still heading in that direction. So
yeah.
that's what it was all about, and ultimately it worked out. But for you, what was your thought process about grad school and selecting a program?
My thing was, I'd already told my mom I was gonna do it, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So my thing with grad school, it wasn't, it was that on top of the fact that so I had the GI Bill. So the GI Bill is a thing for kids of kids of military parents. If your grades are good or whatever, you can go to school for free, and they also give you a stipend. You get a stipend for going to school. So you get housing, a stipend, yada yada. So I graduated and I'm applying to jobs, not really liking the jobs that I was getting. And I'd already told my mom I was gonna go to school anyway. So my thing was if I stay in school, I'll keep getting the stipend, I'll get money every month, and I can do what I want to do on the side. So it just made sense. Like I'm gonna get paid to go to school. I might as well go to school, especially if I don't have something I really want to do right now. On top of the fact that you get more opportunities with a master's degree nowadays because you know what I'm saying more people have degrees. So deciding though, after doing economics, I was really leaning more towards getting into software, getting into like the data, the stat side of things, and kind of combining it with software, and that kind of led me to applying to like a lot of data science stuff or looking into it at least, and a lot of the schools, there wasn't really any data science programs that was near me. A lot of them were like upstate. Like I was looking at Syracuse for a while, so I was really like Syracuse. They got an online program, so I can do it like somewhat online, but it was just mad expensive. So my my scholarship would only be for a certain amount. And I'll have to cover the cost on the back end. And I'm one of them people that school is very important, but like if you can go for free, go for free. Like you know what I'm saying? So if I didn't have to come out of pocket, I could definitely I could definitely choose a different school if it meant not having to pay no money. So I eventually came across a program at Alabama. It was the marketing program, and I was like, all right, I ain't really did any marketing. So in undergrad, I did finance, economics. All my classes were finance, economics, and accounting. Obviously, my major was economics and my minor was accounting, but I took like a lot of finance classes too. So I didn't take any marketing. So I was like,
Mm,
all right, whatever. So I'm just gonna apply because the thing was, I think there was an economics program at Bama, but some about it I didn't like. It was like a policy program. It was more on like the political side of economics, and I just wasn't that interested in it. And so that's the thing
mm,
about economics. It can it can go in like kind of two major lanes. You can go into like the more stats data driven side, use it to get into tech, use it to get into fintech, finance, maybe work at a bank, or you can go. So I guess three sides. You can go into the tech side of things. You can go into the finance side, but you can also go into the political side with economics. Like you can use it to become whatever political people do. I don't know. Um, but I chose marketing, and the marketing thing really kind of opened my whole creative side up. So I got into video editing, I got into all that with the podcast as well. That kind of just merged and kind of just all worked out in a way.
Hmm.
And there was still some of my economics things that would pop up, so it just kind of worked out. But yeah, that's how I got into Bama.
Yes, sir. That boy is a true Crimson Tide. True,
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Then my guys know for
Uh,
sure.
uh, I had something. I had something else that was some.
Rambling.
Um, well, like you said though, like school is great, but you want to go for free, bro. Like my sister
Facts.
took a different route. Like she went to community college first and then transferred in. Like, that's an option. Like, or going to a school that maybe isn't necessarily your first option, which I understand. Like, you want it to fit you and, your beliefs and concepts and culture. Like, definitely don't skip out on that. But if it has everything else and maybe it doesn't have the name, like, don't worry about the name necessarily. You can use this as you know, a trampoline to get to that big name. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's all about. You want to be able to go somewhere and then it give you more options. That's all. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily your number one pick, but eventually it can get you to your number one pick. It's pretty
Yeah,
much what I how I think about it.
yeah. You don't want to go into a lot of debt going to school because one thing we can both attest to, school is an amazing experience. School is not an automatic money maker though. You don't graduate and you're guaranteed yo 45 yo $60,000 job. You're not guaranteed really anything graduating from school. You get some skills, you get some life lessons, and you do get a credential. You get something. You get a degree that you can use to for opportunities. But you really need to go one for the experience, and two to like position yourself once you get out of school and to succeed in life. And one way to position yourself is not going in like a whole lot into debt just to go to school. So like, yeah, going to like an Ivy League school or going to a private school like a ski or Morehouse is great, but don't force it. Is what we're saying. Make sure if you really want to go, do the work ahead of time. Study in high school so you can get you some scholarships. Apply for as many grants, and that's one thing I wish. As many as scholarships I applied for, I wasn't on it enough. Um, and it's literally just doing the work beforehand, um, and reaping the rewards later. Because like it's literally like if you don't do it, you'll get less money and end up having to pay the money back on the back end. So it's like just apply to these jobs and grants. Do your homework. You know what I'm saying? Prepare yourself, set yourself up to get to where you want to go, man. Because you can speak like like we we did well. You know what I'm saying? We got our scholarships or whatever, but we definitely had opportunities to get more like money going into school if we had actually just did what like our counselors and parents were telling us to do.
Facts. Like they telling you like there's this scholarship, just do a quick paper real quick, 500 words, bro. That ain't nothing.
Yep. It
Do a
ain't
little
nothing.
500 words. There's going to be probably four other applicants. I mean, everybody might get money. Like there's plenty of scholarships out there that they give money to everybody. Maybe you're not the number one prize winner, but everybody gets some. Like that is key, bro. You gotta have money. And when you get the money, don't go up there and mess around and lose it by going under the GPA limit. Boy,
Oh yeah, bro.
like
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that for
i-
sure.
if you gotta maintain a 3.0, that ain't hard, bro.
It's
That's
not,
not hard, bro.
bro. It's not. But it's just more about staying focused, man. Like, and I'll be real. It's the work ain't nearly as hard as staying focused because it comes down more to like I need to go back to the dorm and study. I need to go back and knock this paper out. I need to go back and finish this quiz before such and such. Yo, but we about to go to the caf. Yo, we about to go to such and such spot. We about to go to the kickback. Yo, we about to go to room 302. Yo, we about to go hoop. Yo, we about to like it's more of staying focused on the things and choosing the things that matter, man. And it's it's gonna be hard, bro.
And
That's the hard part.
another thing, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, that girl that's asking you to go somewhere, she done got her shit done.
Type,
So,
yeah.
like, I done been in that situation many a time. Like, they be having they shit done, and you out here assed out. Like, oh, I'm the only one that ain't get shit done? Yeah,
Yeah,
you are,
that's
bro.
that's a bad
Do
feeling,
it
bro.
first, bro.
That's a bad feeling, bro. Especially being a black man, bro. You being in the room and not it being the one that's not on your shit. And you like, you feeding the stereotypes, bro. So definitely we've been
Me
there.
too.
All right, so let's get
Yeah,
to the
man.
movie part, bro. Let's get to the movie part. What's a movie that like this could be college or life, but what's a movie that sold you a dream on what this shit would be like?
Ah, boy. So, I'm gonna give one. My mom loves this movie. Stacy loves this movie. I think Love and Basketball was one of them ones.
Okay, I thought
I
you was gonna say.
mean, I wouldn't know. Wait, which one?
I thought you were gonna say The Color Purple.
Oh
I'm
no.
joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh man. But yeah, like that love story, like of course I wouldn't know Hooper. I mean, I wasn't even playing football, but like they went into like maybe it's your high school sweetheart or whatever it is, you think that shit gonna work out. And maybe it can, but
Yeah, dreams do
and
come true.
maybe
Yeah,
dreams do come true.
but you
And
know.
and may and maybe y'all might go to the same school even. And maybe that's how it might work. But
Man.
it ain't gonna always come full circle. And even I guess their situation was they did break up and all that jazz. And maybe it can come full circle. But I mean, you can't think it's gonna be like some high school sweetheart that's gonna transition in and y'all gonna be good. And if you go off to school, like you can leave your girl back home and you think you're not gonna be able to fight off this temptation.
I'm playing. I'm playing.
Like talking to my younger self, bro, I would say like sacrifice, that little bit of heartbreak that you're gonna have in that moment for that person's overall and yourself, that person's sanity and that person's like innocence, like and being able to maybe eventually come back to that person and it be all good instead of you going off and then you messing around with somebody and now the whole relationship is tarnished, bro. You can't even speak to that person no more. So, like, these movies are awesome, but you got to think logically when you
Bro,
going into these
he
situations.
he's saying that shit ain't real, bro. That shit ain't like it is real because I actually work with a lady who married. the man or boy. I mean, he was a boy when they met, but they've known each other since middle school and they got married. So it happens. Like these are real things
Yeah.
that happen. So I say that to say they're the 1%. They're the billionaires of love. So for us regular folks, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna grow apart. Y'all are gonna be interested in different things. Like we can both say now, like we're not even the same people we was coming out of high school. So you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, and it's one of those things of like it's just hard to let go. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to let go, even though you know you don't want to be on that right now. Because I was in a relationship going into college, and I'll say right now, I made my mistakes. Other person made theirs. Only thing I regret is some of the shorties that I had to tell no. Let me stop this up. No, it was bad ones that I was like, dog. Because you know how girls be, bro. You know how girls, you got a girlfriend, especially you got a girlfriend that look good. They like they trying to figure out what's going on. Like why she like you? So
Mm-hmm. Yep,
it'd be
yep.
some
And
bad ones
y'all
that
was at the same school, so
type. You know what I'm saying? It'd be some bad ones that'll try you when you got a girl. I'll be
mhm.
thinking about them sometimes. Like Shotty, it's one that she pregnant now. I'm like, damn. But anyways, yeah, Love and
Ooh.
Basketball is a great movie, but we're gonna have to put a that one ain't real.
If that one ain't real, it can be real. Look, let me not get it wrong, but it's like one in a million. And like we was saying way back, like that shouldn't be your focus. Like
It shouldn't
in
be.
your early year, you need to be trying to learn yourself. And if that person just so happens to be your person, like I think my uncle and his wife, like that worked out for them. And their daughter surprisingly is or not surprisingly is kind of following that path. She's with the boy that she was with in high school, and maybe it'll work out, but it's like you got to be able to learn yourself, and hopefully y'all are like respecting each other and
Yeah.
have the maturity to, if y'all gonna lock in and do this, do it. You know what I'm saying? That's okay to be disciplined and stick to one woman. That's cool. Some people are built for that. We were not.
But
So
don't hold on to something that ain't working, bro. You beating a dead
yeah,
horse,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, like let that shit go.
Facts. So
So
what's yours? What's your movie that you want to bring up?
okay, so a movie that I think does work is called School Days. Have you seen it? With Spike
Yeah,
Lee.
that's a
So
classic.
that's a classic and it get dark for a second. So going into college, I didn't really know anything about D9. Um, but I got like kind of ingratiated into the culture a little bit of just learning from my friend bringing me to an interest meeting that I didn't know nothing about to like just learning the stories and stuff. And there's like D9 for people that don't know is the Divine Nine. They're the fraternity organizations. They're HBCUs, they're PWIs, but they're like the fraternities for like the black community. So you have the alphas, the kappas, the omegas, the AKs, the deltas, the
Don't forget about the iotas and the sigmas,
and the sigmas and the SG rows. But
SG
and they do a lot in the community. Like ours will hold like harvest festivals for the kids. They will do food drives. They we all know they get lit, they get turned up. So School Days is a movie that kind of goes into the darker side of things about some of the things that happen behind closed doors. And so that's a movie that I think kind of touches on some of the hazing that goes on, some of the things that almost taking like a damn near blood oath. I ain't gonna go too much deep into the movie and some of the stuff they was doing, but they was doing some stuff that made them closer than brothers in the movie. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one movie that I feel like probably touched on it. And then another movie that I want to bring in is Stomp the Yard. And this one goes into the love and basketball category. Niggas was not, at least I would. Well, actually, I'll say this. Um, some folks definitely had to like work on campus jobs to like make ends meet. So that was one aspect of it. My boy was cutting the yard. I ain't seen nobody do that, but I know I had friends that would work in the calf or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's different, like a lot of those people, like maybe they were awarded a scholarship, so they have to do a certain amount of community service, whatever the case may be. And
Yeah,
some people, like you say, they are trying to make ends meet. So yeah, I knew about a few that had those different opportunities, but yeah,
I will say this too. Shorties are on you when you get them letters. So I will say that that was definitely a par
that's
for the course.
factual.
My boy got them letters and he was getting a little attention. Um,
There's too many folks that I know that were like, you know, I would say a square, and they get their letters, and I ain't gonna say like I would call them lame, but they might say some I may have heard somebody say that they might say something like, "Hey, I'm an alpha now," or whatever the case may be, and
you
like
ain't got to dance around the bro.
thinks that's the sauce. Like, no, that's not the sauce, bro. Either you had it before and you still got it, or you didn't have it and you still don't have it.
You ain't got
Of the
it.
some of the young girls will go for that, but
Oh, they definitely.
the more
Once they,
seasoned ones will not.
nah, bro. You a square with some letters. Still a square though. Still a square
Facts.
though. But so that aspect of it, one aspect, I thought I was gonna see a bunch of folks stepping, bro. I don't know what happened, but like step shows kind of they dance. I feel like they there's more dance now than stepping, but like I feel like there's less stepping within the Greek shows and stuff now. Or am I tripping?
I think it's a lot of like, they call it like strolling, but there's definitely like step off events around homecoming. But I think they've just kind of like merged the two,
Okay.
and it's not a lot of the stepping anymore, but it's more so like strolling.
I need to bring Steppin back, bro. Cause you remember we had a step team at Sparkman, bro. You remember Steppin? Steppin was our generation growing up. You know what I'm saying? Steppin was the shit back in the day.
Boy, I swear. But yeah, when you see them boys stroll, or you go to your first event, you like, "Damn, that shit live." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, they get that thing turned up, so it is live, and it's
yeah.
always just certain schools got like really like fun chapters. Like you can tell, it's one of those things that as I was learning more, I was like, okay, so it's almost like it's almost like sports teams, bro. Like they just might have a good little generation. They might have like a good little dynasty right now. Like this chapter right now got the juice. Like when they come to town, it's loud, it's active. They got members. They turned up. It's a good vibe. So
Or or the sororities, they might come up with a crazy Cowboys, what's the Cowboy cheerleader lineup? Like, oh
yeah, 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 yeah.
damn,
Facts, facts, facts.
man,
Batty,
yeah,
batty,
all of it.
batty, 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 batty. Nah, you ain't
I
lying.
swear. So, boy, that's a vibe. I definitely would say that. Even like in the drum line when they
Okay.
got they got that concept too. I mean, I wasn't in the band or anything, but in my HBCU doesn't necessarily have this huge elaborate band, but I've heard some of the guys and they talk about the whole hazing process and how that
Oh
goes and how that's real too. So,
yeah,
you got some pieces of the story that's real, but you know, it's not gonna be all that for everybody. So don't get your head wrapped around a lot of those concepts of
yeah.
falling in love with your and seeing the baddest girl on campus and thinking you gonna go pull her like you Devin on Drumline.
Yeah, yeah. Because she might have a boyfriend at the beach, huh?
He might really beat your ass.
Yeah, like that, bro. You might want to ask first.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so that's one thing I feel like is really school to school and like almost like class to class. Like you have whether it's D9 or just like classes like the 2017 class or 2018 class, you kind of have like waves of like um students that come and like put their own little stamp on it. So yeah, like the 2019 class might have been turned up. The next class might not be. So like Skigi, I know around when we was in school, Skigi had like a lot of they were like a big family when we were there. So you would see them all like really like posting each other on social media, Twitter, they talk to each other a lot. That was just kind of like their thing. I don't know if it's like that still now, but like that was just kind of a big thing with Skigi at the time. It was like they were all on Twitter. They were real cool with Auburn. They had real close relationships with Auburn. Like I know a lot of their alphas and stuff talk to each other and stuff like
Mm.
that. So that's one thing I noticed was like um, you might get to school and just notice like okay, like us in this school are like real close right now, like Auburn and Ski or something like that.
And I think that goes to show, like, I feel like a lot of people in, I mean, really us being in Alabama, maybe it was also like a lot of people in our class overall kind of went to those schools too.
Mhm.
So it was already like a connection there already. And then, you just kind of go from there. So I think that's the thing. And also from school days, I want to say this. There was a lot of cliques. Um, and you'll experience that too. You'll see a lot of cliques or people that won't, go outside of their group, or they might feel like they're above certain people because they a part of this or that. So that's something else you got to watch out for. And also, hopefully, you're not that type of person that's shallow and thinking that because I'm a part of this organization or because I come from this, that I deserve to kind of be the top of the food chain or I can treat or dismiss anybody. So that's something else that you might experience.
You know something that's weird though. JSU, it's not like a super big school, so like you see everybody. It's not big enough to where you know everybody, but I mean, it's not small enough to where you know everybody, but you see like for the people that actually go out and stuff, you see everybody. Um, and so one thing I didn't realize was like once I got to like fourth or fifth year, and some of like my guys and like girls that I had been like real cool with were gone, and I was meeting some new people. Um, you don't necessarily always realize you're in a certain clique until somebody makes you aware of it, if that makes sense. It was like,
Thanks,
oh, I
bro.
always saw you hanging with such and such and such and such. So I just never talked to you or this, that, and the other. So that's one thing I would. It's kind of hard to notice, but if you can like make yourself aware of it and probably try like to just make sure you're like venturing out and like networking outside of like the people you talk to all the time, that'll
Hmm.
help you make connections and stuff like that, and also like not have the same experiences over and over again. Because that's one thing I noticed was just like people would tell me, I just knew you rolled with such and such, and I was like, I really didn't realize it until I was made aware of it.
Hmm. Facts. Shoot. I think that's. Did you want to hit on your other movie of Love Don't Cost a Thing?
I'm crying. That's more like a life one, bro. These hoes want Birkins, bro. Don't go for it. Don't go for it.
Oh man, don't use your last 1,500
Hell no.
uh on a girl's card because you think that's gonna get you put you on. I'm gonna
It
say
was
that.
not specific, but it was a gym. Don't use your last 1,500 on that girl card, man. Even if she looked like Christina Milian.
Don't do it.
Not, cause she not finna choose you over no NBA baller. That was just in the writing, bro. I'm telling you right now.
She's not.
She, she not.
You gotta be real down to earth, man. Ooh,
ain't no,
there's
ain't no that low got. She ain't. Nah. I wouldn't even let my daughter do that. I'd be like, nah, baby girl, you need to stick it out for a couple more months. Going back over there.
uh
That nigga still be here. He over there playing with cars and shit. Go ahead over with Vaughn or whatever his name is.
you're gonna mess around and miss out on the Steve Jobs, bro.
Hey, Steve Jobs took like 20 years to get to the top of Apple. That nigga gonna that nigga gonna have that contract in 3. So we'll talk about that one later.
Do you want the short term or the long term?
We gonna spin the block on Steve in a second. We gotta get this money first. All right, bro. I'm done, y'all. I'm done. Oh
I can
man,
respect it.
you know
I
what
can
I'm saying?
respect it.
Nah, we some Steve Jobs over here, so y'all better lock in. It might
Lock
be too
in,
late.
bro.
It might be too late already.
Oh yeah, it's too late for me for sure. No, I'm locked in.
Yeah, it's over with.
I done found my trap queen.
Trap Queen is crazy. The fact that I know she would be like, ew, if she heard you say that. I can just see her face like,
Woo! She would, yeah, she would probably vomit. That's funny as hell.
literally. Oh, I'm weak. Oh, man. But no, this is a good one, bro.
Definitely.
Uh,
Yeah, we gonna have to break this down. Give y'all some a real in-depth segments for y'all ass, but we gave y'all a huge perspective here.
yeah, we did. We did. This might be 2 episodes now, man.
Facts.
Yeah, man. Make sure y'all like, share, and comment, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube, bro. We just hit 200 subscribers on YouTube, but we should have 2,000, bro. Y'all need to go ahead. We got to get some more people on this YouTube because we got a bunch of videos up there. Um,
Facts.
y'all definitely follow
We
us on IG, all that good stuff.
we need one of them plaques. We need one of them plaques that they be giving out to the YouTubers.
Facts. We need that 100K plaque.
Mhm.
We need a
Then we
100K
gonna
sub.
get the millie.
Big
So
meal. Big meal. But yeah, Sirski. Yeah, man, this was a good one, bro. You got anything you want to say before we get out of here?
oh man. I'm gonna reiterate, like I said, the fourth quarter is over, pretty much. Get yourself ready for the first quarter once again. Um, and I know I'm 26 right now, and we getting older, man. Be responsible of your body. Try to take care of it. I'm joining this basketball league, so maybe y'all gonna see me getting a little bit better with my hooping.
Yes,
We gonna
sir.
see.
We gonna see. Uh, as we get out of here, if you don't take nothing from this today, do not spend your last 1,500 today, shorty. Don't do it. If you don't take nothing else from here today, do not be a simp ass nigga. Because that's basically what we told you today. Stay focused, stay on your grind, get your paper. You know what I'm saying? And don't spend your last 1,500 to get her Escalade fixed. It's not happening.
Don't do it, boy, or you're canceled. We will
You're canceled.
never talk to you again, bro.
Over with, bro. You're a dub. All right, man. All in, all out.
All out.